Today is Friday, June 22nd, and my name is Jonathan Kirsch with the City of Lakewood's Channel 8, and we are doing an interview with Bill Wilson as his personal history for the Lakewood and the Jefferson County Public Library Oral History Project. Thank you very much, Bill, for participating in this project.
My pleasure.
We'll start off with some personal information. Bill, tell us your full name.
Full name is Bill Wilson.
Okay. And Bill, where were you born?
In Chinook, Kansas.
Chinook, Kansas. And what are your parents' names? Did they live in Lakewood?
No, they were from Kansas and Nebraska.
Okay. And what were their names?
My father's name was Aubrey Wilson, and my mother's name was Nell.
Oh, beautiful. And how long have you lived in Lakewood?
51 years plus.
Okay. What area?
Lakewood.
Okay,
and
Lakewood proper.
20 Reed Court, Mid-Lakewood.
Great. Are you married?
Yes.
Great.
My wife's name is Marilyn.
How long have you been married?
51 years.
Fantastic.
61 years.
61 years. Even
Yeah.
better.
We moved in on our 10th anniversary.
Oh, great. Where was she born?
She was born in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Grew up in Wichita.
In Wichita. Okay. What are the names of her mother and father?
Her mother's name was Esther Collier, and her father's name I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember where they were born?
No.
Okay. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I do. They're both deceased now.
Okay.
Had an older brother and older sister.
What were their names?
Dick Richard Wilson and Mary Louise Wilson.
Okay. And do you have children?
Yes, two. Mark Wilson, he's in Kremling, and my daughter Dina Wilson, Dina Cheatham, she's in Lakewood.
And how old are they?
50. Dina's 52 and Mark is 54.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't ask you, how old are you today?
I'm 86 today.
86. Fantastic.
I was born on November 10th, 1925. So.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And where did you go to college?
I went to college at K-State, Manhattan, Kansas.
I went to KU.
You and Jim Ritchie.
Yeah. We'll talk. We'll see him this afternoon, so I'll talk to him about that. How long was the school year when you were a child, when you were in elementary school?
It was 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, I graduated from high school in Neodesha, Kansas. It's down in the southeast part.
Uh-huh. Okay. And what was your degree in college?
Business administration.
Okay. What year did you graduate?
In 1950, January of 1950.
Okay. Did you get any other special education or training over there? Or
Corps school in the Navy.
Okay. So, you were in the military?
Yes.
Okay. In the Navy, you were saying?
Navy in World War II.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Let's come back a little bit. Before you retired, what was your occupation?
I was in sales and the accounting department.
For a company?
Well, I retired from Jefferson County. I was in the treasurer's office 20 years.
Gotcha. Okay. When did you retire?
About 7 years ago.
Okay. And do you are you just retired, or do you still work?
No, I'm retired now.
Okay. Great.
Fully retired.
Great. Have you held a job other than at the sales job at the county? Any other kind of side jobs or?
I moved out here. I was with Black Civils in Bryceland traveling.
Okay.
So moved
Gotcha.
out from Kansas City.
Okay. And what did your parents do for a living?
My dad, he was owner and operator of an alfalfa dehydrating mill.
Okay. And your mom?
Mom, she was a housewife.
Housewife. Great. Do you, what do you remember either firsthand or hearing about the Great Depression?
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, of course, nobody had much money at that time. And we moved to Neodesha when I was in the second grade. And the thing I remember about that was that bib overalls were pretty much the uniform of the day at that time. And I would get 2 new overalls at the start of the school year. And I'd wear one day and 1 week, and then my mom would wash and iron the other one for the next week. And I'd get 1 pair of shoes, and they would last until I would outgrow them or wear them out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was during the Dust Bowl times too, so it was in Kansas. It was pretty rough.
A very rough time for farmers, agriculture.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did you know people on relief in WPA or the CCC camps?
My uncle was in the CCC camp.
Okay.
I had one uncle, Dad's brother,
Gotcha.
and
For the youngins who aren't familiar with it, what is the CCC camp?
Civilian Conservation Corps. It was pretty much, they would do construction work out in the field, and they did a lot of trails and things throughout the mountains and throughout the area too that they would get into. And it was quite a corps. A lot of them went into the Army after they got out of the CCC camp, because it was based pretty much on an Army regimen.
Gotcha. Do you remember wages and salaries being paid in? You weren't here at that time, but when you came here to Lakewood in Jefferson County, what were the wages like compared to now?
Oh, compared to now, they were probably about half of what they were now.
Different times back then.
Yeah.
And you said that you're a veteran, right?
Yes.
From the Navy. What do you remember about World War II?
About Lakewood?
About World War II?
About World War II? I was one of the 5% of the Navy that didn't get overseas.
Mm.
The 95% of them got overseas or in a foreign country, and I was a hospital corpsman. So I was lucky and had spent most of the time after I got out of Corps School in Long Beach, California Navy Hospital. And I'd volunteered for overseas because I didn't want to go into the Fleet Marine Corps. And their life expectancy for corpsmen was pretty short. And that was pretty much the standpoint that I had.
Did you have a lot of friends that did go overseas?
Yes.
Okay.
There was 4 of us when we got out of high school, got in our friends' Model A and went down to Texas for the work in the oil refinery until Uncle Sam started calling us, and we went in one period at a time. And 4 of us were still active until one year, this year, we lost one of our friends. And
I'm sorry.
he was the one that had the Model A. Between my junior and senior year in high school, Dad had his alfalfa mill. He was manager of the alfalfa mill at that time, and he couldn't get enough truck drivers, so my friend and I, we volunteered to drive the truck for him, and I was still 16 years old and wasn't old enough to get a chauffeur's license to drive a truck, and the governor of Kansas had to sign a special license for me to get that. So we made 30 cents an hour at that time. Time and a half for overtime on 40 hours a week, and we worked 7 days a week and 12 hours a day, so it didn't take us long to get the 40 hours in.
Sure.
The only time we got off was when it would rain.
Gotcha.
And we couldn't get in the alfalfa fields at that time. So.
Mm-hmm. Did your brother serve as well?
Yes, he was an aviation radio man on FDB bombers, and he flew off the Saratoga.
Okay. Do you remember how the Korean and Vietnamese conflicts affected Lakewood?
We were here at that time, and I don't remember, that it actually had a major effect on us and what we were doing. But we knew about it at that time, and
Were there any big protests or anything like that, or?
not that I remember.
Okay. Okay. How did seeing a man walk on the moon affect you and your family?
I'm not sure it affected us, major affection, but it was quite an experience to see that and to go through it.
Were you around? Were you sitting around the radio, the TV?
Oh yeah, you watched that pretty much.
Okay. What was your favorite moment in sports, if you followed sports, if you have one?
Denver Broncos winning the Super Bowl. that first game, especially.
Were you listening to it on the radio, or did you have a chance
TV.
to go? TV.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. In your opinion, what's the greatest achievement mankind has experienced during your lifetime?
Boy, there's been so many of them in our lifetime that, you look at television and what it's done and where it's come, and the computers, what you do on the computers.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest thing I wouldn't know, but even, getting the atomic bomb, that was quite an experience.
Mm-hmm. And being in the military at the time, or not at the time, but being a part of that, where were you when you heard that we had dropped the bomb?
I was in Long Beach, California, and I was coming back from visiting my brother. He was at Litchfield Airport in Phoenix, Arizona, and I went down to see him over the weekend, and I was coming back from there when it dropped the bomb. So that was pretty memorable. And I think everybody in the service was happy to see it happen, because one of my good friends, he was saying that he was getting ready to go into Japan and being trained for invading Japan, and he said that was the greatest thing that Truman ever did, and he's a Republican.
When you were younger, did you and your family attend any community groups or fraternal organizations or churches?
No, well, church, yeah, we went to church, but my father ended up being a Shriner, after he moved to Nebraska and got his mill up there in Nebraska.
Where in Nebraska was it?
Wood River.
Wood River. Okay.
It's west of Grand Island, about
Mhm.
15 miles west of Grand Island.
Gotcha. Okay. Where did you meet your wife?
Kansas City.
On Kansas City. Okay.
Yeah,
And was it love at first sight, or did it take a little time?
pretty much. It took about a year. She was one of 5 roommates, and one of the girls I worked with in the office, she was a roommate too, and we met through her, and it didn't take long for us to get acquainted. And
Great.
Yeah.
What do you remember about your wedding?
that it was small.
Was it in Kansas City?
Yes. Yes, it was. And it was, the reception was pretty small, and just a few of the family.
Great. Did your families get together for reunions or special occasions?
My mother's family did quite a bit, and she had had brothers and sisters on both coasts, and they would come back every summer and go up on the farm. The farm was, her maiden name was Coates, and the farm was, it didn't have electricity or running water or anything, indoor plumbing. And they never did until Grandma sold the farm, and that was in the early 40s. So, and I would go up there and spend most of the summers, and it was quite an experience to go from the indoor plumbing to the outdoor plumbing. But
Things change quite a bit, quite
oh,
quite
yes.
frequently.
Yeah. But my grandmother was quite a cook too. Old wood stove and everything, and she'd be up every morning making breakfast and making the biscuits and this wild strawberries. We'd go out and pick them, and she'd make a good shortcake.
Benefits of living on a farm.
Yes.
Were you born in a hospital or at home?
At home.
At home. Were you delivered by a doctor?
Yes.
Okay. Did your family use home recipes or cures rather than going to a doctor, or was a doctor usually present in the area?
Well, we'd have a doctor at Neodesha. We had, there was 3 doctors in town.
Okay. Great. Do you remember your first telephone? Was there a
Well, out
telephone
on
when you were a child? Was there a phone in the house?
We had a phone in the house,
Okay.
and my grandmother, she'd have a phone in the farm, but it was what they call it, the open farm, open, and you could listen in on everybody else's conversations.
An open line?
Yeah, open line.
Yeah. Okay. And what was your first car that you ever had?
That what?
What was your first car?
My first car was 53 Ford Coupe.
Okay.
And then I got a 56 new car Ford.
Yeah.
And it was a black one with white sidewall tires
How long did you have that for?
till we moved out here
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
in 61 when we moved out here. So
Okay. Now, I know you mentioned earlier that you don't have email. Do you have a computer?
no,
No. Okay.
I got computered out when I was working at the Navy or at the treasurer's office.
Gotcha. Did you have a computer only at work? Or did you have one at home too?
No, we just had one at work.
Okay. Gotcha.
My granddaughter, she had the first computer in the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When was that? When did she get hers?
Oh, she was born in '89, so it was early '90s when I got her computer.
Gotcha. Okay. And on the farm when you were growing up, or in the house when you were growing up, I'm assuming there was electricity in the
Yes.
house. Yeah. Since
Yes.
you did have a telephone. What kind of and for the young people who might be listening to this, what kind of games did you play as a child with your friends?
Red Rover come over and tag and hide and seek when you're young.
A lot of outdoor
A
games.
lot of outdoors, yeah.
Did your mom ever tell you to stop being inside the house and just go outside and play?
No.
No.
No, she was pretty good.
Yeah.
She was very good.
Good. And what kind of game did you play similar games with your children?
Yes, yeah. Few card games, but
Yeah.
rummy and that kind of stuff.
Just teach them how to play bridge.
No, but neither one of them play bridge now.
Okay.
My wife and I did, and I still do.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of role did, if any, did art and music play in your life?
Oh, not very much. I was in the chorus during high school, and sang in the quartet.
Were you a baritone, an alto?
Baritone.
Baritone. Cool. You mentioned one of your favorite sports memories is the Broncos winning the Super Bowl. Did you play sports?
Yes, I lettered in football, basketball, and track.
Oh, okay. Great.
So
In high school or
in
college?
high school.
Okay.
No, I was too little to play college.
Me too. Besides playing bridge with your wife, do you have any other hobbies or interests?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to dance quite a bit, but
Oh.
not anymore.
Did you do any traveling?
I traveled quite a bit when I was, in sales. Got through all the contiguous states in the 48 states, and except for New England.
Mm.
Still haven't been back there, so
Any international travel?
no.
So let's go on to working with Lakewood. How did you become involved with the city of Lakewood?
I was first ran for the board at Alameda Water and Sand District, and was on the board with Bob Clement. And then it was just pretty much a natural when Lakewood started going for the incorporation. That they'd failed a couple of times, but in '69 it was getting down to the standpoint of Denver was wanting to come in and control Lakewood, and we didn't want that. So we got together, and Jim Ritchie, of course, he was the leader of the whole group, and we got the corporation through, and that was quite a experience going through that and getting it started.
What was your role in that?
Working at the precincts and going out and working for them, and I was on the Board of Adjustment, the original Board of Adjustment, and ended up on the council.
On the first city council?
No, not the first one, close to it. Mel Flowers was the first one out of the original 10 to get on the council, and he replaced Gil Fell in Ward 4, and then Don Dedecker and I in '72, we were appointed to fill, he filled Ted Eaker's spot and I filled Bob Clement's spot when he was elected county commissioner. And we were the 12th and 13th one in the city.
Okay. How would you say you influenced the growth and development of Lakewood?
By being on city council. We were in the formative stages of the council, and it was quite an experience going through the, it seemed like every time you were having a new zoning or problems with the city, it was the first time you'd gone through it, so it was quite an experience, and I think we had quite a bit of influence on that. I ended up being, for one term, city council president and mayor pro tem, so I think we had some influence.
But since it was still in the formative stages, as you mentioned, it was kind of a learning situation too, right?
Yes, it was. But we were lucky to have the quality of council people that we did on the first group that went through, and we had the first mayor, and he's been one to kind of set the tone for it, and the city managers that we had, and the first treasurer that we had for the city, and Gene Rogers for the city clerk. They were all, we were lucky to get Gene Rogers, and I think she was one of the stabilizing factors for the city. She was the only one that had experience in running a city, but she was good.
What memorable events took place while you worked for the city?
Well, we had our first parade, Lakewood on Parade.
Which is coming up next week.
Yeah. Is it next? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2 weeks. 4th?
I'm sorry, you're right. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize. 2 weeks.
But no, we were on the first parade, and
How was that received with the
oh,
residents?
it was good, I think. And
Was it an all-day event, or was it just a few hours and people coming out to
no,
to
it
say
was
hi?
pretty much an all-day event. They had the parade, of course, that was the major part of it, but then they had entertainment at night, and that was when they had the parade that went down the Kipling from the from the center at Lakewood, where the federal center is, yeah. And it was a short parade, but it was a good one.
And what year was that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It had to be before '77.
Sure. Did working for Lakewood affect and influence you and your wife and your children at all?
Well, we had the elections, and that was always a question, you know, that you had to go through the elections. The first year I was appointed, But then after that, I was elected for 2 years, for 2 terms. And then self-imposed term limit.
Did you were you pretty well known throughout the community by being on the
By
council?
being on there, you were. But,
Okay. Why is community service important to you? Why did you be part of the beginning of Lakewood and serve on the city council?
well, I think you're wanting to give back to what you received from the city and the government. And it was an honor to be on the city council, and I think it's just one of the things that you need to do.
Okay. What was the best thing about working for the city?
I think the people, getting into the standpoint of, getting to know other people and outside, your own friends and people that you'd have, I think just the group that you had and see the response that you would have from the people too.
And some of those folks you still know and keep in touch with too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say was the worst thing about working for the city?
Some of the late hours.
Being away from your family?
Yeah. But they weren't too bad. The city council meetings, you would go through, some of the public hearings that you would have, and but for the most part, most of the people were understanding and cooperative with you.
Okay. How old were you again when you retired?
80.
80. Okay. And have you done what kinds of things have you done since you retired? Besides your playing bridge with your wife.
Well, she didn't. We had a group of people that got together. Gary McDonald was one of them, and we had the Old Fellas Bridge Club. And Gary and one of the judges, county judges, and one of the treasurers, Bob Bamerlin for treasurer, and we still get together and play bridge every other Thursday down at Fox Hollow. So.
Great. You mentioned your granddaughter has a computer. How many grandchildren do you have?
Just a one.
Just the one. Okay. And what's her name?
Melissa. Melissa Cheatham.
And how old is she?
She's 23 now.
23. Great. Do you do any volunteering in the community?
I'm still on the building authority for the Lakewood, and I just got off of the Aspen Park Special District.
Okay. What do you like best about life right now?
It's more fun getting old than it is being old. But
What's the best part about being old?
being retired.
I think I'd like that too.
Yeah.
What do you like best about Lakewood?
I think the people. I think it's a great community to grow up in, and just knowing the people, and they've done a lot. They were the largest city incorporated in the United States when they were incorporated, and went through a lot of changes.
When you look back on what was going on in 69, 70, 71, when you look back between that then and today, when you think about that, are, what kind of goes through your mind? Are you amazed on the changes in the way Lakewood looks, or how Lakewood works?
I think just for the growth that they've had in the city and what they've accomplished, through the years, being an all-American city now is, that's something to be proud of.
What's the most important thing you would want people to remember about you?
I think two things. It's spent 20 years as a deputy treasurer at the county, and being on city council, one of the formative people on the city council. And we made a lot of changes at that time.
Would you say that you're proud of the changes that you made and how that
Oh, yes.
affects
Yes,
Lakewood today?
I think so.
Okay. If you could describe, if you remember, any old signs or buildings that are still near where you lived or where you worked? Business signs or billboards or anything like that?
Well, I think the restaurant on Colfax, Western, they're having the horse up on the roof of the house, or the restaurant, and we grew up by Stein Elementary. The family did, and my kids both went to Stein Elementary, and my granddaughter did too. So.
Great. And the question is, do you have any old photos from the past that you'd like to share with the Jefferson County Public Library or the Historical Society that would kind
I don't think we have any. We have a lot of family pictures, but showing the house when it was new, and the backyards were all open, and now they're all fenced in.
Mm-hmm. If the Historical Society wanted to maybe get a copy of that, would it be okay for them to contact you to maybe get a copy
Sure.
of them? How would they contact you?
Our phone number is 303-237-5819.
Okay. Is there anything else, Bill, that you want people in the future to know about you, or about what you remember about growing up that we haven't covered?
I don't know. You were wanting to know how my grandparents or my parents were, when they came to the country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mother's name was Coates, and her family had moved over from the Coates Thread Company in Scotland, and they first came over here in 1600s. And I had one uncle that was interested in working for the family tree, and he brought that up to date. And he was joined the SAR, Sons of American Revolution. So my son and I, we got his information and we applied, and so we're both members of the Sons of the American Revolution. I didn't know they had it until I just knew they had the Daughters of American Revolution, but they also have the Sons. We're not active in it anymore, but that's, one of the historical things that I had a great uncle that, or grandfather, that was Adam Rawson, and he was served in the Massachusetts militia for 2 enlistments, and they were very short enlistments.
Wow.
They were months instead of years.
Mm-hmm. Little different than how military works these days.
Yeah.
A lot of kids today might have a certain view of how the world is. They may not know, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, that times were a little tougher, they were a little different. Do you kind of, and you've seen kind of that, I guess, evolution from 30s, 40s, 50s up until today. When you compare today to when you were a child, what kind of words would you use to describe it?
Oh, I think, you know, it's so much different. And I think the kids are so much more smart than we were. They have the computers to go through, and I understand what a computer can do and how they do it and what the programs are, but getting down and working them and knowing what they do. I know what they do, but I wouldn't be able to, you know, do the mechanical part. The
insides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all have that, and it comes natural to them.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come down and be part of this project, Bill.
Well, it's my pleasure.